Hi everybody, welcome to my channel today. If you're new, hello and welcome. My name is Justine. I live on the west coast of Canada. I'm in my mid to getting now to late 40s and I post videos a couple of times a week, beauty, lifestyle. I do a lot of hauls, reviews, things like that. And if that's something that interests you, then please hit the subscribe button and don't forget the notification bell so you stay up to date with all my latest videos. If you're one of my regular subscribers, hello and welcome back today. So today I'm doing a very different kind of video than what I normally post. For some of my older subscribers, when I first started YouTube, I had made a few comments that I had a background in fitness and I had competed competitively in fitness as well, and a couple of people had asked questions, so this is a long time coming to get this video up. I know for most of you it probably have zero interest, but if you want to find out a little bit more about me, you might be interested, or if you've always been interested in fitness, or maybe I have some new people watching today and want to know about my journey competitive fitness. So I have notes. I normally never script anything. I just like to talk and say whatever I'm thinking about, but because there's so much information on this topic, I have written everything down to try and make sure I kind of follow a pattern. So the first thing is I want to tell you a little bit about me. I'm in my, like I said, mid to late 40s, and I have been going to the gym since I was about 13 years old. I started, I went with my mom to an aerobics class at the European Health Spa, and it kind of took off from there. I just loved it. I love choreography, things like that. It was kind of like a dance class for me. And then I dabbled in weights, but my true love was aerobics. Back then it was called aerobics. And then into step. That is my ultimate, and I still to this day, it's my ultimate. It's very advanced choreography, so it's not for everybody, but I really enjoyed it. So that was kind of my start into fitness. And as I mentioned, I love choreography, so I then went into cheerleading, and I was actually a cheerleader for 3 years in the CFL with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So during that time, I was very fit, obviously. We did a lot of practicing. I think it was about 2 or 3 times a week, and then games, and that was kind of all year round we practiced. So I was very, very involved with that. But I always had seen people doing these bodybuilding contests. And back then, I'm talking early 90s, there was only one women's type of body. I think it was just called bodybuilding. And by today's standards, I think that would be considered the figure category. And I was always very intrigued and interested, but I was very busy with my cheerleading. And I had other kind of commitments and a different type of body for that. Whereas you had to put on a lot of muscle and dedicated to that if you're doing these fitness competitions. Then one came out, another category called fitness, and that was right up my alley. It was dance routine to music, and you still had the fit body and all that, and it just really, really spoke to me. But at that same time, I was also very involved in pageantry. So I actually quit the cheerleading to pursue pageantry at that time. Primarily, like things like Miss Eugenia, Hawaiian Tropic, that kind of thing. So it's kind of swimsuit pageantry. So that was kind of my focus at that time. So again, it was a different body type. So I kind of put my competitive bodybuilding type of stuff on the back burner while I pursued that area. And then from there, I ended up moving to the West Coast. At that time, I lived in Winnipeg. I moved to the West Coast of Canada. Life went on, and I just kind of put it on the back burner and just kind of thought it's never going to happen. So now fast forward to my 40s, I was still going to the gym. I've kind of had ebbs and flows with the gym. I've been very, very involved with it. Then I kind of take a break. I get bored. Then I've tried different types of gym things, different classes. I've done yoga. I've just always mixed it up over the years just to keep it interesting. So I was very, very involved with those step aerobics classes, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But I wasn't really getting results. I was going more for the social aspect and the funness, and you know, I just enjoyed the choreography, but I wasn't really getting the body results. Even though I was going probably 5 days a week, I didn't look like I was going to the gym, let's put it that way, and I wanted to see a little bit more. So I contacted quite a few of my friends and asked for advice on who would be a really good personal trainer, because I thought maybe I should try that, because they can also give me the diet, because I think my diet also, I was lacking. I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to follow things. I was doing paleo. I tried to do keto on my own, but I really needed guidance from somebody who knew what they were talking about. So I hired a woman who was a personal trainer, and so I would go to her home and meet with her for personal training. And she also specialized in coaching fitness competitors. So I would see her for my personal training, because that's what we did, and I would see these girls coming in before me or after me, and I was like, oh my God, she looks amazing. And I would kind of see their transformations, because they'd be coming every week before or after my session. And I said to her, you know, is this something that maybe I could do? At this stage, I didn't know there was different categories. Back when I was involved, I just knew the bodybuilding and the Miss Fitness, and my body wasn't able to do those routines anymore. Maybe when I was 20, not so much now. And she said, absolutely, of course you can. So right then and there, I said, you know what, I want to do a show. So right then we decided I was going to enter the bikini category, which is, you know, a lot of muscle tone, but a little bit more curves, emphasis on the behind. So I had a lot of work to do. So anyway, we trained together, and she got me all ready for this show, which was a regional show. And of course, as I mentioned, this was kind of a bucket list thing. It had been kind of on my list since my early 20s. And I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, there's some rough patches, and I'm going to go through all the pros and cons with you, but I just kind of would tell you a little bit about how it went. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved the discipline. I enjoyed pretty much the entire aspect of the entire experience. So come down to show day, and I placed in my show. I got 4th place in a small regional show, which then qualified me to be in the BCs, which is provincial level. And at first I was like, no, this was a bucket list. I just wanted to do it once, and I've done, and I exceeded my goal because I actually placed, and let's just be done with it. And I took a little bit of time, and I was like, you know what? I think I am going to do the provincials. So here we go again. And I then competed the following year in the provincials. And of course, we had to dial it up a notch, because I was then competing against girls all over British Columbia. It was a lot more competitive, and like I said, we had to turn it up a notch. And I went to that show, and I placed again. I came 5th place, much to my surprise. And because I made top 5, I was then qualified to do the nationals. And, you know, after I finished the show, I took some time to think about it, because, you know, you're on these extreme highs and extreme lows. And I decided after that show, I wasn't prepared to put in the effort and extra dialing it up another notch to take it to the national level. So that's kind of where my career ended in the competitive, I don't know if you call it fitness, bodybuilding, whatever you want to call it. That was kind of the end of it, of the road for me at that stage. But I just want to tell you some ins and outs of it in case you're interested, of how it works, what my journey was like. I have a lot of pros and cons, so I thought I would share those with you. So first of all, pros. You look amazing. You know, your clothes fit so well. I had these nice, tight, lean arms where you could see ridges of my shoulder and my bicep, and it was just really quite lovely. I loved the category I was in. It wasn't extreme muscles. I just was nice and shapely. I had very little body fat, so all my clothes just fit beautifully. The face, not so much. You know, they always say, what's better, the body or the face? So my face kind of suffered because I was very gaunt, and it kind of emphasizes your age. So when I'm a little bit heavier, I'm a little more plump and fuller. I loved my cheat meals. We were given, well, the opportunity of a cheat meal once a week. My coach would assess that. Sometimes I was given one, sometimes I wasn't, depending on how my results were that week. And there's nothing like being able to go and have a pizza or a hamburger and fries and with zero guilt because you know you've earned it. So I thoroughly enjoyed those cheat meals, that's for sure. I loved the camaraderie with the girls. From an outsider, I was intimidated and kind of thought the girls would be nasty. I mean, there was a few nutty ones, but for the most part, all the girls were just so lovely, and we just had a really great camaraderie together, along with my coach. She actually coached us as a team. Each girl was absolutely separate. We had our own private consultations with her and our own private workouts. She didn't do anything cookie cutter. Everybody's diet was different. Everybody's program was different. But we all came together once a week for posing class, and we'd all chat, and you know, misery loves company, so we all moan about what we had to go through that week and how badly we wanted a piece of cake and things like that. So I thoroughly enjoyed the camaraderie. But of course, like anything, you know, once that's over, you kind of all go on with your separate lives. Kind of like when you have a job, you know, you're very close and you kind of moan and groan about customers together or whatever it is that you guys are doing. And then once you leave that job, you guys kind of drift off. I mean, sometimes you keep some of those special friendships, but unfortunately, some of those just kind of drifted away. I loved being on stage. For some people, this is a huge hurdle for them. They can handle the entire process of prep and training and all that, but they are terrified to go on stage. But for me, as I mentioned with my background, that was where I felt the best. I absolutely loved it. And that's what my goal was whenever I was feeling down or, you know, why am I doing this? This is too much. I would just think about that day I was going to be on the stage, and it made it all worth it for me. Choosing a bikini. Now that was so fun. We actually went to Vancouver. I got mine from a lady. She's called the Suit Lady. And I'll insert a photo here. It's just a bikini of dreams. Mine's covered in Swarovski crystals. It's just, for me, it's a dream come true. For some people, it's a nightmare. But for me, you're kind of a princess for a day, even though it's an itty bitty bikini, but I really enjoyed that. So that was a lot of fun. It was like trying on wedding dresses, trying all these gorgeous bikinis on, and I ended up, I wanted to pick something that matched my ring. This is a Tanzanite ring from my husband, and I absolutely love it and treasure it. So I wanted my bikini to be this color. So anyway. Your food is always organized, so that was really helpful to me. There was never what's for supper, what's for lunch. That being said, I did do a separate meal for hubby, but I always knew what I was eating. I did my meals the day before because she would give me macros, so I knew how much proteins, carbs and fats and everything I needed to eat for the day. I'd portion them up in my Tupperware containers and off I went. So I really enjoyed that. Some people find it annoying, but I personally enjoyed just knowing where I was up to every day, and I took all the guesswork out of it. And it was a goal. A lot of people enjoy setting goals and achieving goals, and for me, that's also what it was. I really enjoyed setting something for myself and not giving up and just pursuing it. I've set many goals throughout my life, and this was one of them, and I was super happy to have achieved it. I got there, and I'm super happy about it. Cons. Now there's a few cons, well, quite a few. So as I mentioned, the first time I did the first one, I wasn't out of shape, but I definitely wasn't the physique that I was supposed to be. So it was a lot of work. And a lot of it was very overwhelming to me because I wasn't doing weights. I was more used to doing classes where there'd be an instructor and tell you exactly what to do. I was given a sheet from my trainer. You do 6 sets of this, 10 sets of that, and some of the exercises were very foreign to me, so that was a bit of a learning curve. So not only was I trying to train and do this, but I was also learning these movements and things that I was just totally unfamiliar with. And it typically takes 16 weeks to do your prep. So from start to finish, show day would be 16 weeks. So the first show, as I mentioned, I was so determined because I was I wasn't out of shape, but I didn't have the body that I was looking for. Let's put it that way. I had excess body fat and I wasn't sculpted in the way I would like to look. So the first one, I was really excited about getting to that goal. By the second show, I was already kind of in good shape. I was happy with the shape of myself and my physique, but we needed obviously to get leaner, tighter, a little bit more muscle. So it required even more work that I don't think I was quite as mentally prepared for when I did the BC show. At one stage, I was training 4 hours a day. You have to do cardio, a lot of cardio when you are doing a show, and everybody's different. I had girls on my team that didn't even have to, well, I'm not going to say didn't have to do cardio, but had to do very little, maybe 30 minutes a day. At the end, close to my show of BC Provincials, I was doing 2 hours of cardio a day. Now on paper, you just think, yeah, I can handle it. But when you get on that stair climber or the treadmill and you set it for 1 hour, it is mind-numbing, especially when you get up to week 4 of doing that. And that is in my case. Like I said, everybody's different. My body just held on to body fat. It just would not let go. I had a heart, girls every week in my team would be losing 2 pounds a week. Me, sometimes I'd gain a pound. So my body, I'm a mesomorph, I think. It's my body type. We love to hold fat. So I really, really struggled. My coach has the same problem, so she really sympathized with me, but she was like, this is the way it is, sorry. And that's just how it was. And that really burned me out. And that's 7 days a week. I would sometimes get a day off, but that when I was doing my provincials, it was really intense. And I think I had 1 day off a week. So 4 hours a day is a lot. So I would do 1 hour cardio in the morning. I'd go to the gym, do my 2-hour weight routine, and then I'd have to do an hour cardio before bed. And again, it doesn't sound like anything on paper, but when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, it is huge. So that really burned me out. The other thing is, because you're so petite and svelte and looking fabulous, you go and buy this fabulous wardrobe that only fits you for a short while. The way you look on stage that day lasts for 1 day. Then it's gone because you're getting back to normal eating, and there's no way you can maintain that. There are some girls who are pros and are getting paid. They're sponsored. So yeah, I will continue that. I wasn't getting paid. I wasn't sponsored. I'm not going to continue that. So anyway, I bought all these beautiful clothes that don't fit me. They would probably fit a small child or a teenager who I don't have in my home. So all those clothes kind of went to waste. I had no control over my life. So first of all, the 4 hours a day workouts. I remember being at a dinner party for my in-laws, and I had to be at their house while they all had this fabulous dinner, and I had brought my little Tupperware of my own food. I mean, this is my own choice. I'm not moaning. And then I had to go home and do my hour cardio and go back to the party. So I just had no control. And the other thing that drove me nuts is, as I mentioned, I would get a cheat meal once in a while. I never knew. It would be on a certain day. At least I knew that. It would be on a Saturday because we would do weigh-ins and check-ins every Saturday morning. And based on that information and the check-in, I will tell you it was my weight. I also take photographs in my bikini, in my pose, front and back. And my coach would assess my body from last week and then my weight fluctuation. And then she would decide if I would get a cheat meal or not. So I would have to schedule my life around that. So if it was somebody's birthday, say it was my dad's birthday, I would say, I don't know if I can participate in a dinner with you guys. Because I could go there and sit there while they're all having barbecue steaks and things with my Tupperware and all have birthday cake, but I just don't have that much self-control. I'm sorry. So it was a bit frustrating. And also when there was special holidays, Easter, Thanksgiving, that kind of stuff, I never knew if I was able to participate until the day of. So that really drove me nuts, as well as the no control. My food could change at any time as well. So as I mentioned, every Saturday we would do those check-ins. So sometimes she would change my macros that day as well. So typically they would change once a week. But once we got closer to the show, sometimes she would change them a couple times in the week. You know, I would see her for my personal training session. She's like, I think we need to change your food a little. But I'd already packaged all my food and weighed it, and I'd bought all the food. So it was a little frustrating when she would then say, you're changing all this, you're not eating any carbs this week, or whatever it was. And I'd just gone and bought a case of sweet potatoes. So things like that were a little annoying. Strain on relationships and family. Me personally, it wasn't a big deal. My mom and dad were really understanding. As I mentioned, if I couldn't go to a birthday dinner, we would schedule it maybe the following week. So they were pretty flexible. And my husband also was super, super flexible with all of it. And it was great. But I know I was a bit of a nuisance. Also to extended family members, they would be like, what on earth? So I know that could have been an issue. Same with friends. Like they would invite me to, let's go out for drinks or dinner, and I can't. And I mean, yeah, I could go there and sip on water while they're all enjoying. So it made it difficult to socialize. And that's where the camaraderie with my teammates came in, because we were all in the same position. So we would all get together and drink our water together. So as a tag onto that, it's very isolating. I wasn't able to participate in a lot of activities. And also, you know, with the 4 hours day of training, I remember I was invited to I can't remember if it was a bridal or baby shower for a niece who lives in Seattle, and I wasn't able to go because just to go for one overnight, that was 2 days of workouts of 8 hours. I didn't know how I was going to be able to fit that in, so I wasn't able to go. That was my choice. I know there's other girls that have done this, that have found a way to make it work. I personally, that stresses me out. So I was very isolated and I couldn't participate in a lot. The cost. Holy guacamole, it's expensive. So as I mentioned, I had a trainer, and then she was also my coach. So she kind of combined my whole package. But for some people, they train themselves. There might be personal trainers themselves. One of the girls on my team, she was a personal trainer, but needed a coach because she helped her with the posing, the diet, and all that kind of stuff. So it is very expensive to hire a coach for a prep. The food, very expensive. I was eating, my diet consisted of a lot of cod. For some reason, my body really responded well to it. So I would go to Costco and I would buy the big flats of cod, and I think I would go through probably 2 a week. And I think that would be around $50. And that's just one portion of my food. I ate a lot of eggs, egg whites, chicken, protein powders, supplements. I didn't have those close to the end. I wasn't allowed because I was in a tested show, I believe. I don't know, but you can't drink creatine and those kind of things that sometimes you drink before a show, or people training. You know, those things you get from a supplement store. A lot of those you're not allowed to have, or you make you bloat or hold water or whatever. But they're expensive, and I was drinking that kind of stuff throughout it. I was also buying protein powder, as I mentioned, which is very costly. So those things were expensive. Because I was training so much, I was constantly going for physio and massage and things like that, probably sometimes once a week. So those appointments were expensive and added up. And then let's talk about the show day. For me, one of the shows was in Vancouver, so I had to travel there. I had to stay in a hotel for 3 nights. The entrance fee to the show, when you go on stage, there's tanning, hair, and makeup that needs to be done. You don't have to have the hair and makeup done, but it's in your best interest to have it done because they do stage makeup, which is very different than every day-to-day makeup. And of course, the tan, you have to have the tan at the very, very least. And that all adds up. And then, of course, my gorgeous Swarovski suit. The first time I did the show, I actually rented it. And then the first year, so I rented it, and it's not free, so that cost money, but it didn't fit me properly. The bottoms were a little bit too small for me, so the second show I actually had one custom made. So yeah, not cheap. You don't have to have one custom made. You can borrow, you can rent. If you have a friend that has one, you can always borrow, of course. and like I said, rent. So, but it still all adds up, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So it was very, very expensive. Yeah, so that was pretty much the cost of all those things of that show weekend. And then of course, I personally opted to do a photo shoot, as well as stage photos, and so you have to pay for that as well. They're optional, of course, but if you need to have stage photos, I'm going to insert one here because I just absolutely love it. And it was featured on Muscle Insider. That's who took the photo. Actually, no, it was David Ford, but he submitted it to Muscle Insider. So that was pretty exciting. And then I also did my own private photo shoot with a photographer that I hired. And I've always kept the memories of those photos because I promise you I will never be that lean again. So basically my overall thoughts, it was a very positive experience for me. It was a bucket list item that I actually met and achieved and exceeded. So I cannot be unhappy about that. So I'm super happy about that. Again, the friendships, unfortunately, none of them were lasting friendships for me, but like I said, it's like a job. You meet people there, you know, and same old saying is you meet people for a reason, season, or a lifetime. And I thoroughly enjoyed those friendships while I had them. The bad news is, out of all of that, is it burned me out. Those 4 hours a day just ruined it for me. I did continue on training and with my personal trainer. I absolutely loved her. She was a great trainer and a friend, turned into a friend, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I got to the stage where I was like, what am I doing this for? It's just too much. And my epiphany happened. My brother was here visiting from Australia, and he was only here a short time, and I don't get to see him very often because he lives so far away. And he was here with his partner, and they said, well, you know, what are we doing today? When are we getting together? And I said, well, I've got to go to the gym, and I'm going to do my workout, and then I'm going to meet you guys after. And I was at the gym, and I thought to myself, what on earth am I doing? What am I doing this for? I'm 40-something years old. I'm not a model. I'm not going to be in a magazine. My husband's happy with me no matter what shape or size I am. I'm happy with my shape and size. I eat healthy. You know the drill. I'm happy with myself. Why am I busting my butt in the gym every day? And to be honest, out of the entire package of training, the diet and everything, I liked training the least. So, whereas most people like the workouts, but they don't like the diet. I didn't mind the diet. So what I decided was I'm just going to keep things tight. And when I say tight, I mean I try not to eat too much. I try and be careful with my food choices. I do have cardio equipment at home. I have a step mill, and I do that about 4 or 5 times a week when I feel like it. I haven't gone back to the gym. I'm just not there. If I do go back, I probably would go back to step. I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed my friends that I had at step. Again, ladies that I met there, and I just thoroughly enjoyed, and I'd love to see them all again. And possibly yoga. I really enjoyed yoga. I went to Costa Rica a couple years ago, and I really enjoyed that. So if I am going to get back into it, that might be what I do. I don't know. I haven't decided. But right now, I'm just taking a break and enjoying it. So that concludes my fitness competitor story. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please click like. And if you want any more videos kind of related to this topic, I know a little bit about it. So tell me in the comments below or ask me any questions. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope to see you all again soon. Bye.